First call is a human tendency based on Bible principles. And this principle, I think, is one of them is humility. So in this artwork, I presented an abstract interpretation of humility. Being humble is refraining from the 7 deadly sins based on Bible principles. I also made it more Filipino. That's why I included the baybayin characters interpreting the word mapagpakumbaba.
I felt overwhelmed when I was requested to share a glimpse of the life of this great man. Honestly, I feel that my knowledge of him is rather limited, and that others who have known him much longer would be the best persons to paint a clear picture of him. Paying tribute to a man whose lifelong job is to capture the best angles of his subject, I find it difficult to give justice to the amazing life he lived. But knowing him, it will be a shame on my part if I don't put my best effort and try. Although no words, no matter how eloquent, can describe his life, I owe him this tribute. Reuben Abaya Pagaduan was born on March 18, 1952 in Sison, Pangasinan. He is the eldest of 4 children born from the union of Bernabe Pagaduan and Puresa Abaya. He has 2 sisters, Noemi and Ruth, and a younger brother, Josue. He also has an older stepbrother from his father's earlier marriage. It is at Pangasinan that he met the love of his life, his soulmate, Maralita. They were blessed with 3 incredibly talented children. Delft, the eldest, is a gifted artist himself who rivals his father's skill in the arts and photography. He is also a keen outdoorsman and athlete. Pen, the second child, is an equally amazing artist. She is an established graphic designer and has worked in various countries. She, just like her father, is a wanderlust. Pareho silang mahilig gumala. And finally, the youngest, the stunning and elegant Aryan, who also happens to be my wife. Although she is not an artist, but rather a nurse by profession, she inherited her father's eye for detail and tenacity, evident in her OCD-like attitude towards any endeavor, project, or work she is involved with. She not only inherited her father's eyes, but also his eye bags. Papa's talent and creativity was evident in his early years in Pangasinan, and it was obvious that it was his calling. In his pursuit for his passion in arts, he went to Manila and enrolled in the University of the East for a degree in arts. Even then, he has established himself as a talented artist, as one of a quartet of young artists who made a name for themselves for their remarkable exhibits. To this day, he remains to be a distinguishable figure amongst the UE artist circles and its alumni. Although assured of a promising career, he left it all behind. He chose to use his talents to serve God. He worked in the Philippine Publishing House as a photographer and graphic designer. Several notable figures and celebrities have been on the receiving end of his camera lenses and have been featured in the Health and Home magazines. I remember him telling me that photography was more difficult in those days because they lacked the advantage of previewing the shots, a feature seen only in modern-day digital cameras. They must make sure that everything was close to perfection before taking the shot, otherwise they'll be wasting film. This speaks highly of his skill as a photographer. Some would jokingly comment on how much better they look like in Papa's photos compared to how they appear in real life. He worked in PPH for 13 years until he was called to work in the Adventist University of the Philippines in 1996. When he left PPH, it took a photographer and 2 graphic artists to fill the void he left with his departure. He originally joined AUP as a graphic designer, primarily to operate the then newly donated Macintosh computer, which at that time very little people are adept with. He learned without any formal training but out of sheer determination. He would tirelessly peruse through books and discover by trial and error to do things until his hard work paid off and he became proficient at it. Several years later, he started work on a project that he would be popularly known for, developing and heading AUP's first ever art course. He called the program Tradigital, an amalgamation of traditional art methods with contemporary digital techniques. Under his leadership, AUP gained wide recognition for the excellence of its art program. He mentored and guided numerous students, garnering top prizes in several national art competitions. Awards after awards came piling, one after the other, year after year. The program was so successful that several educational institutions would come and interview him, eager to emulate similar programs in their schools. In spite of all this, not once did he bask in the glory, but rather humbly praised God and diverted the recognition to the students. Amidst his busy schedule as head of the arts department, he would selflessly make himself available to aid in other projects in the university. From creating signages and tarpaulins, layouting books and university publications, and designing logos, he gave his 100% in everything he did. AUP will always be reminded of him each time the university seal, which he designed, is displayed. I could go on and on with his accomplishments, but I fear that time wouldn't be enough to enumerate the triumphs and accolades he received in his lifetime. With all these accomplishments, one would naturally think that this would be the crowning jewel of his existence. However, I would humbly disagree. His greatest success and masterpiece in life is not the artworks displayed and the awards he received, but rather the people he has influenced with his life. Reuben Pagaduan is first and foremost a son of God. He made sure that he shared his faith to everyone, from leading worships at home, participating in community outreaches, and incorporating God in his lessons in class. He has been an example of a faithful servant of God. He left behind a loving wife who shares his commitment to aid those who need help. He has 3 amazing children who he is very proud of, each reflecting a little bit of himself. He had generously opened his home to nephews and nieces and gave them a chance for a better life. Other relatives, no matter how distant, if you are a relative of someone he is related to, you are considered and treated as a family. He and Mama extended their love and care to 2 boys who, although are not related to them by blood, were nonetheless treated and raised as their own. His house was open to students needing guidance with life or schoolwork, molding not only their skills as artists but also their character. His table is shared with those who are hungry and struggling to make ends meet. He shared his talents with colleagues in AUP. "Sir, can you make this signage? Sir, can you take photos, please?" He would gladly accept these requests. He has made lifelong friends that he had not lost contact with, no matter how long a time has passed. And even if you are a stranger, if you happen to share a conversation with him, and boy does he love to talk, you'll immediately be drawn by his passion and interesting topics he has to share. He is a devoted husband, a doting father and lolo, a caring son and brother, a loving uncle and mamu, a respected mentor, a generous giver, a friend, a God-fearing man, and a talented artist. He has made so much impact in the lives of countless individuals who have the pleasure of knowing him. He may be gone now, but he still lives in our hearts and memories. His work in time may crumble, and his accomplishments may one day be forgotten. But the lessons and influence he has shared will be passed down from generations to generations, and the legacy of El Pagi will continue to live on until the day that our Lord comes.